I'm Lifty Boy, and this is a story about losing my practice and learning how to rebuild it. So for a long time, movement was my home and my safe place, and where I was really tuned in. At the time, I was lifting almost 6 times a week with very little need for recovery time. I was very focused on my programming. I was tracking really heavily and hitting 2 to 3 times my body weight for my big lifts. I got a lot of joy out of working out with my friends and bonding over challenging each other and myself, just exploring movement in different ways as well. Types of movement, for example, mobility and my martial arts practice. But in early 2023, I went through a pretty intense period in my life. I had a breakdown in my personal support system, my chosen family, because that breakdown was so deeply tied to the space that I had built. I started to associate the gym not with safety, but with grief. And that was really hard emotionally. And it reshaped how I even wanted to relate to movement. On top of that, running multiple businesses, supporting others, navigating burnout, and simply trying to just survive, all of it like stacked. I just didn't have it in me anymore, I think, to feel safe or good in the space and also in the movement. It wasn't that I didn't want to train, it's that I was fully in survival mode. And when you're carrying that much, your nervous system simply stops prioritizing things that feel extra, even when those things used to feel like home. This is actually a part of what researchers call allostatic load, which is the accumulated strain on your body from chronic stress. And that affects everything: your motivation, energy, even how your body physically recovers and adapts. Honestly, the hardest part wasn't losing strength, it was losing my identity as a trainer, as someone who trains a lot, who builds, body builds, and moves. Fitness culture often teaches us that progress is linear and that falling off is failure. But bodies, they don't work like that. So in reality, muscle memory is pretty powerful, and studies on detraining show that even after extended breaks, strength and skill often return faster than they were built the first time, which I find to be fairly true. And my understanding of my body has remained over this time, even if I haven't been regularly training. And this is where mindset comes in for me. Our bodies aren't products, they're projects. And a project that we can revisit and revise, pause, and pick back up like any art or craft. Being ADHD, this happens for me a lot. I pick up things and put them down and sometimes don't come back to it for a really long time. But I think what's important is that you don't just throw away a project just because you've paused on it. You can always come back and reassess and resquare and keep building on it. I have tried to get back into it and I have struggled. Yeah, I think there have just been a lot of variables over the last several years that have stopped me from really pursuing my training and my personal practice with movement. I think something that I'm hoping to do this time is to rebuild with a different set of priorities, which is to focus on consistency over intensity, building the kind of minimum effective dose, which is the smallest input that still creates adaptation and autoregulation, so that you're adjusting your training to meet your body's daily readiness. So it's a little more connecting with myself. I will say, as someone who's ADHD, returning to training also adds another layer, because it's not just physical, it's logistical, it's task initiation, decision fatigue, and a cognitive load. And research shows that task initiation is one of the most common sticking points for folks with ADHD. The harder it is to start, the easier it is to avoid, which is why I'm leaning on systems, preset templates, friction reduction, and flexible routines that lower my brain lift or my cognitive lift. I think something that's really important to me, and something that I hear a lot from other folks, is this idea of trying to get back to who you used to be. But personally, I don't think that that's possible, right? Because that is in the past. You're constantly becoming somebody new. And That's not my goal. I'm not trying to get back to who I was when I was training regularly, because that version of me is in the past. It is a version that built now this version of myself. Now I get to build again with materials that I'm familiar with, better tools, and a deeper wisdom. I'm excited to try to get back into it. I'm looking forward to seeing what challenges I might run into and what sort of new discoveries I can make. I do feel like I'm in a better place in terms of my time and my regulation and my ability to manage more onto my plate. And I think I'm looking forward to doing something that I have loved and want to really love again, even if it's in a new way. If you're in your own return, your own journey, I hope that you are giving yourself permission to start where you are and not where you think that you should be, right? Because what does that even mean? If this resonated with you, feel free to follow along my journey here by subscribing to this channel. And if you would like to support the work I do through Han Training and Project Lifty Boy, all of the links are in the description below. Thanks for being here, and I will see you maybe in the gym next. Who knows? I don't really know how this is going to go. I'm kind of just playing around here. So wish me luck.